What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Traveling Circus and the first of many fishing videos. Like always on the channel, mix in a little podcast, little boats and pros, little fishing video. So this is the first fishing video of 2022. Slacked off a little bit in January. The weather was terrible. I got that old COVID mess for about 10 or 12 days, so put me behind the 8 ball. Went down to Florida for the Bassmaster Open, got my teeth kicked in. The weather was crappy down there, so not a lot to share. But finally getting out on the water here at home, getting the camera with me. And today I'm gonna share a video with you. I got to get out on the water, and I wanted to show you guys one of my favorite overall techniques for pre-spawn fish that I feel like, I mean, there's a ton of talk about it, but I feel like mentally, people overlook this a lot when the water is cold. And what I mean by cold, less than 50 degrees, 48 or less. I went out, water is 44 to 46 degrees, and I'm catching these fish cranking, whether that's a lipless, whether that's a flat-sided crankbait, whether that's something like a DT6, a DT8. Wintertime cranking is one of my favorite things. You mix in something like submerged vegetation, some stumps, a little bit of rock, it just adds to the recipe for success for those big fat pre-spawn bass. So we're gonna talk about some grass, we're gonna talk about some wintertime cranking, and we're gonna talk about the color red. I know, it's crazy. Every post you see has got a red bait hanging out of a fish's mouth this time of year, but it's because it works. It's something that we've used for years and years and years. Now a lot of different companies are offering you different lures in those red colors than we've ever seen before. So I'm going to show you some of my favorites, going to share some fish catches with you, and hopefully you learn something from it. You can take it, apply it to your body of water wherever you live, catch you some big fat pre-spawn bass. Before we go any further, I got to thank the folks from baitworks.com for supporting myself, the Traveling Circus, all things low budget live, with their amazing tackle store. So you can use code Duncan10, Duncan-10 for the win there. Baitworks.com, they've got everything you need, and if they don't have it, I promise you it's on the way. But everything you're gonna see in this video can be found at baitworks.com. Huge thanks to those folks. Now let's go look at some bait. All right, let's talk some winter time winding. And depending on where you're at, you may be cranking around different types of cover, but for wintertime cranking for me, it means one thing, and that's shallow, primarily shallow. So I'm gonna be fishing rocks, wood, grass, flats, you know, a lot of times gravel flats, different things like that. But in this video, primarily focusing on stumps, so hard cover mixed with a little bit of grass. And how I located what you're gonna see me doing here is with my Garmin's, rode around until I found grass on side view. And the key to it is it needs to be green. And the only way for me that I find that is with actually casting a lure in there, snagging that grass, bringing it back and seeing what it looks like. Now, the grass I'm catching most of these bass in, a foot tall max, okay? So it doesn't have to be overwhelmingly tall. And in the wintertime, depending on where you're at in the country, it's not gonna be. Now, if you don't have grass, you may say, well, I don't wanna watch this video. Well, the same applies as far as this cranking technique, no matter what kind of cover you have. If you can find those fish, they like to stage up, they like to eat crawfish, they like to eat shad, and they're basically warming themselves. The females are starting to think, even though it's a little ways away, about spawning, so they're going through the motions, and they will make a push, especially on sunny winter days, even with that water in those low to mid 40s. They'll get up there and poke around, okay? But in this particular video, focusing mainly on grass. You're also gonna see me use mainly 3 different baits in this video. A crankbait that I have come to just absolutely love in the last couple years. And it's one of those that when it first came out, you know, as pro fishermen tend to be, everything's the best, right? If they use it, it's the best. And my old buddy John Cox, he told me, man, this Berkeley Fritz side, it's for real. And you see a lot of people posting about it, but you know, a lot of people are sponsored by Berkeley. So I always kind of have a little bit of my, you know, I'm a little reluctant to jump on a bandwagon. You can see by the teeth marks on this bait here, I'm on the bandwagon. I'm on the Fritz Side 5 bandwagon. It's a great crankbait, has a super tight wobble, and in this video, I was able to catch several fish cranking this through submerged grass and banging it off of stumps that were in and around the grass. Great little cold water crankbait. And one of the first things I do though, I trade out stock hooks on 99% of my crankbaits with Trocar treble hooks. I like to do that. I like a round bend this time of year in particular. But Fritz Side 5, killer little crankbait. Internal weight system, you can cast it really good on bait casting equipment. I'm throwing it on 12-pound fluorocarbon, so little Fritz Side 5 in red. Didn't catch a ton on this in this video, but this is and you can see the teeth marks on this one too. This is one of my all-time favorite lipless crankbaits. It doesn't get enough love, I feel like, mainstream wise a lot of times, but that's that Yo-Zuri rattling vibe. This is a killer lipless, and they make it in, I believe this is the 5/8 size. I've got it in a little 1/4 ounce size I'll throw if I'm fishing shallower this time of year, and you can just ease it through the grass if the grass is like less than 2 feet of water. Sometimes like on a lake like Gunnersville, I'll do that. But killer bait right here. Thrown this thing for years, but I think I actually, in this video when we found these fish, I was using this as a search bait, and you can cover so much water with this. You bomb it out there, it's gonna sink like a rock, and you can just worm that thing through the grass and it will get a reaction strike. Now a lot of times once I find them, I will, ease around with a couple different crankbaits. Even a chatterbait. We caught a few on a chatterbait as well in this video, but this is such a great search bait in the winter, and doesn't just apply to grass. You can fish flats off of the main lake, maybe a mud flat even. Those fish will warm up on that mud, but any kind of flat structure, 4 feet or less, 5 feet or less, especially if you got some grass. This old boy right here doesn't just pertain to grass, but a lipless crankbait in the winter, they'll have it sideways, man, every time, just choked right there. But red Yo-Zuri right there, and the old standby, guys. The biggest fish in this video comes on this bad boy right here, and that's just the boss of bad boy, Rapala DT6 in that demon color. It's infamous. It's famous, whatever you want to say. It is, it's a bad dude. It's a bad dude. The DT series have always been one of my favorite series of crankbaits since they came out, especially when that water is like 55 degrees and less. You can certainly catch them beyond that, obviously, but man, is it a great cold water catcher. They've added a DT8 to the line that has really been playing for me lately when I need a bait the profile of the DT6, but I need to get a little bit deeper, but it's a great crankbait. Unfortunately, in this situation, the grass was really almost too shallow for this, but I was just kind of taking my time and worming it through and was able to get a couple good bites on the DT6. Same thing, 12-pound line on that, 12-pound fluoro, throwing it on a 7.3. I believe this is the Iconelli Abu Garcia cranking rod, that 7.3 Ike's Delay. Love that rod for cranking. It's a really good rod, but right there, got me some Trocars on there, some old freshy fresh Trocars. Right there. All right, that's all she wrote for the cold water cranking, grassing, bassing combination, whatever you want to call it there. Get you some Fritz sides, get you some rattling vibes, get you a DT6 or 2, and get after them. Cranking rock, cranking grass, cranking wood. I promise you, if you will pick up that crankbait, even when you're like, oh man, I need to be dragging a jig around, I need to be throwing a shake hit. I'm telling you, there are always bites to be had in that early pre-spawn, late winter pattern on a crankbait. Make sure you check out baitworks.com. You can find all these baits there. Use Duncan-10 to get you 10% off on the lures you've seen today. They got them. Go get them. Make sure you're subscribed to Luke Duncan's Traveling Circus YouTube channel. And I will see y'all next time.